All right. So at some point, they decided to come out with a DLC for Streets of Rage 4. And it adds survival mode. And it's pretty fun. Like, I played it a few times. So I just want to do like a round or two, depending on how long I last. And see if how far I can get. So I always like to pick Adam. So I will be Adam. And I'm not going to change his weapon. Oh, they also changed it so that like you can use special... You can change your special moves. But I'm going to leave it as is just because I like his special moves already. And I haven't had a chance to really mess around with the other special moves that he gets. So I was like, you know what? I'd probably do better with the ones I'm used to. So basically in the survival mode, all you got to do is... You just run around and you fight stuff. Like it's like you fight some dudes, and then when you beat all the dudes in that stage, they'll give you an option between like two different abilities. Then once you pick the ability, you have it, and you have that until the end of the run. The abilities don't carry over between runs. It's like once it's basically like try to do as best as you can. And see how far you can get. So it's like it's just like I think people were like it's like a roguelike, I guess, if that makes sense to anyone. But it's this game, and I played it a few times, and see what do we got. See, damage dealt 20% when at full health. Cool, I'll do that. But it's cool because like the gameplay in this game was always really good, and like you beat the game and you can beat it a couple times and have fun, but after a while it's like you can only beat the same stages so many times. Like it'll, at least for me anyway, I'm like I can't just play this indefinitely. Like it's fun, but like it will wear off. There's nothing really to keep you to come back other than like oh, I'm feeling nostalgic and I want to play it again, or like oh, I have friends who haven't played it yet and I want them to play it, like that kind of thing. Like I, for example, unlocked all the characters and then like did everything that you needed to do. I didn't beat it on like the really hard levels or whatever. I just beat it like a couple times, and then I kept playing with everyone so that I can unlock the extra characters, stuff like that. And again, like it's really fun. But then I was like, all right, well, like that's it. Like I beat it. I'm done. And then I just kind of like was like, all right, well, that's it. And then I didn't really go back to it. Like once in a while I'd play a level or two just because like, again, the combat is really fun. Like they really try to make it not feel like just like a simple like 1-2 punch type thing. Like there's a lot of like little things that they added to make the game more fleshed out and feel like, I think in the stuff that I read about the people who made it, they're like, yeah, we designed the controls kind of almost like a fighting game. So like there's a lot of depth in the way the combat feels compared to what I guess a traditional beat 'em up would be. And again, it's super rad, but once you beat the game, it's like, all right, well, like why I can only do it so many times before it wears off. But then they made this game. They made this update. And this update gives you this survival mode, which, I mean, eventually, it will, like, you'll be like, okay, cool, I can only do this so many times. But it's always random, unless you play the, like, right now I'm playing the, like, every week or something, they release, like a course. And it's always the same one. It's always the same no matter like how many times you play it. But it changes weekly. And then the other thing is when you just play the randomness, and it always gives you random ones. So the fact that it's like always random, I think, makes it so that it's like, oh, cool, I can play again. And then one cool thing that they added too was they added three new characters to the game. So obviously there's a little bit more replay because you want to play the game again or just mess around with them, whatever. But then the other thing is that the other thing that they did was every time you play in this mode, then you also can unlock. You know how I mentioned like that the characters had like extra moves or whatever. Like you unlock moves as you play, so it gives you like an incentive to go back, and you only earn them when you play this mode. Like you can use them in every mode, but they the only way to unlock them is by playing the survival mode thing. So yeah, it's a cool like it makes you want to like play more, I guess, because you're like oh yeah, like I wanna unlock more stuff. So it keeps you in the loop, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's good. I like it. It's fun. It's really fun. But I'm not getting a lot of health, man. I need some croissant. But yeah, it's a cool addition. It's a cool way to make you like incentivize you to play more, especially with a game with like beat 'em ups being kind of like the genre itself like doesn't really lend itself well to like oh, I'm going to play this game forever, because you know it's like they're usually short, they're not super complex, and it's just more like a time killer of anything. And I don't mean that in a bad way, like. But usually that's what the genre is. It's like they're made around the time for like people to spend quarters and stuff. So they're meant to be simple to play, and like that's kind of like that's their thing, because they want as many people to play them as possible. And they, you know, all kinds of licensed characters, and like everyone had to beat them up, kind of like everyone had a platform back in the day. So to throw in a mode like this, well, one, to make the gameplay so like for this game, I mean, like for them to make it so it's like more like there's just more to do and more going on in the way the game plays, and then to add like a mode like this to get you to like come back and play more. I think it's a really cool idea. Like and you can play this multiplayer, so you can play this with 4 people. I think you can do 4 people. For sure you can do 2, but yeah, I think you can do 4. But yeah, it's I don't know, it's pretty clever. Like if you would have told me like, oh yeah, they're gonna make a mode where you get like random upgrades, it's like, oh, that's random. And then like when I saw the thing and it's like the new update, because I remember seeing a video for it and they're like, oh yeah, we're adding like a survival mode, and I'm like, okay, whatever, like that's cool, I guess, but like, you know, like add more stages, you know, like do something like that. And then now that I see it, I'm like, actually, like this is better than if they would have done more stages. Like obviously I would love to have more stages or like a second campaign or something like that, but like once it's gonna be the same thing. Like once you beat it, like you're done. Whereas this, it's like you can play it multiple times. You can play it with friends. Like I played this, I was able to get into a match once online, and it was with a random. There's no voice chat. It's just us moving around, and I was like, yeah, this is like super fun. Even though I don't know this guy, like I was having a lot of fun, and the mode just surprised me. I guess because I'm not used to playing games like this, like not like games like this, but like game styles like this where it's like everything's random. Well, yeah, like everything's random every time you play, but like in a game that like I'm like I'd want to play again, you know? Because there's a lot of games where it's like everything's procedurally generated and every time you play it it's different, but like it's like okay, but it's I don't know, it feels lazy. Whereas this, it's like it's not lazy, it's just like it's just cool. Because it doesn't feel like, because they're still making like layouts and stuff, you know, for like the weekly thing where like they make it so that it's the same, you know. So they're still designing these, and it's not just like oh, they just gave up and oh shit, oh, I didn't get the chicken, or oh no, I lost. I don't know what the hell I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that Streets of Rage 4 was already awesome, and Streets of Rage 4, this survival mode is just even greater and amazing addition. If you have Streets of Rage 4, you haven't gotten the DLC, like get it. because it's fun as hell. And the and if you haven't even played Streets of Rage 4, like go play Streets of Rage 4. Like it's on every console. It's amazing. It's like the best beat 'em up to come out in years, decades, or whatever. Like this came out, I think, right after River City Girls, and that game's a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong, I love that game. It's got amazing static, but I think it's a different type of game. Like that's more of like it's more like an RPG beat 'em up. So you can't just like go in, play, and then like leave. It has that progression of like a. Well, while I'm talking, I'll just do some like I don't know. I'll do some training. It's got that progression of like of an RPG. Like you go in, you play, you earn moves, and you do this and you do that, which is great because it makes you so that like it makes it so that like when you play the game, it feels like you're progressing and you don't just like all right, I'm done with the game. It gives it longevity. But the downside to that is that one, like it's not easy. It's not as easy to pick up and play because you're like, oh well, where do I go next? And like, how do I do my moves? And like, well, I just want to play this one area. Like, it's hard to do that kind of stuff with a game like River City Girls because it wasn't designed for that. It was designed to be played like an adventure. And again, that's super cool, and I love that game, and I'm glad they're making a sequel. But I don't think it's fair to compare it with this game because this game is like not that. This game is like this is a classic beat 'em up where you've got like set number of stages. They're all linear. You go through them, and then you beat the game. But the difference being that like this one, I think the fighting system in this one is more like it's more of a fighting game like with combos and stuff. Like if it wasn't for the fact that like we know this is Streets of Rage or whatever, like if there was a screenshot of this, like it could pass as a fighting game. Like it could pass as like a 2D Street Fighter looking game, and it has the moves to do it, which is like rad because you don't get that a lot in beat 'em ups. And then this game is just again it's easier to go back into because it's so easy to just like play and like be done with it. You just play one level and it's not like, oh well, where was I and how do I do it? It's like no, you just jump in and it's not that complicated. But what's cool about it is that like if you're really good at it and you can like do combos and junk like that, and I mean I can't, which is why I'm just beating up on this guy. Then it's even more fun, and at the end of the day you can always just like stop playing and still get like enjoyment and like not feel like you're lost. Because I know for me anyway, like when I play an RPG and I haven't played it in a while and I go back to it, I'm like, where was I? What was I doing? Maybe I should just restart because I don't know what anything is. Should I look up a guide? And like I've looked at this game and at River City Girls because I've owned them both, and we played. Me and Alyssa played through all of River City Girls. I played some of it with Janet on this channel, and we played some of Streets of Rage. I played some of Streets of Rage with Janet, like so like I've played both multiple times. When I go back to River City Girls, like it's fun and I like it, but definitely like I'm not as like eager to replay it, because it's like I'm either like starting a new file or like I'm in a file that I already did where like what was I supposed to do? Where am I going next? Like was I just grinding for levels and stuff like that? So I don't really go back to it, and I've tried because I'm like, oh, I want to beat it because spoiler alert, when you beat the game, you unlock the guys, and I'm like, oh, well, I want to beat it with the guys too because that's fun, and we were gonna do it with Alyssa, but we never went back to it. And I mean, there could be million reasons why, but for me anyway, it's just like it's not as easy to get into because it's so much more involved. Like you got to commit to it more. Whereas this one, like you just like I've played this game so many times just at random where I'm like oh I'm bored and like I need something to play, but I don't really want to play an RPG or something like that, and it's like, oh well, I'll just play some Streets of Rage and whatever. Like I'm not like trying to get a new high score or anything. I'm just like it's just fun and it's quick to pick up and play. But yeah, that went on longer than I was supposed to. I should have just done another friggin' survival. But yeah, that's Streets of Rage 4 survival mode. I think it's dope. I think if you haven't gotten it, you should. And if you haven't even gotten Streets of Rage 4, get that and the survival, or just wait for that physical edition to come out, because it's gonna have both. And the cover has Axel with a swordfish in his hand, which is like the best. So I'm gonna shut up about Streets of Rage 4. It's amazing. You should play it and tell your friends to play it with you and have a